Nobody who was inside that stadium on the night of Game 3 will ever forget what they witnessed. Nobody watching at home could believe what was unfolding on their screens in real time. What began as one of the most competitive and intense games of the entire MLB season suddenly transformed into one of the most shocking and violent moments the sport has seen in years. A full brawl erupted between the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks, and at the very center of that chaos was the moment that stopped the entire baseball world cold. 3 Diamondbacks players had violently hit Shohei Ohtani. And nothing would be the same after that. How did the brawl start? What exactly happened to Ohtani during those terrifying moments? How did his teammates respond? And what is MLB now doing about what millions of fans witnessed live? The tension between the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks had been building for days. By the time Game 3 arrived, everyone inside both dugouts knew that this was not just another game. The stakes were enormous, the emotions were running extremely high, and the competitive fire burning inside both teams had reached a level that was almost impossible to contain. Fans inside the stadium could feel it from the very first inning. The energy was different. The body language was different. Something about Game 3 felt unlike anything that had come before it in this series. For most of the early innings, that tension remained controlled. Both teams were playing hard, playing physical, and playing with an edge that kept everyone on their toes. But as the game moved into its later stages and the score remained tight, the pressure inside that stadium reached a boiling point that neither team could hold back any longer. All it took was one moment. One play. One decision that crossed a line. And everything exploded. It started on a play that immediately drew the attention of everyone on the field. Shohei Ohtani was running the bases with the kind of explosive speed and determination that has made him one of the most exciting players in the sport. As he moved toward the base, the first Diamondbacks player made contact with him in a way that was immediately recognized by everyone watching as going far beyond what the rules of the game allow. It was not incidental contact. It was not the result of a routine play gone wrong. What that Diamondbacks player did was deliberate, aggressive, and completely unacceptable by any standard of professional baseball. Ohtani absorbed the hit but kept his footing. For a brief moment, it appeared as though the situation might remain contained. But then the second Diamondbacks player entered the scene, and what followed made the first contact look minor by comparison. The second hit on Ohtani was harder, more direct, and drew an immediate and furious reaction from every Dodger who had a clear view of what was happening. Players began moving toward the scene from both dugouts. Voices were raised. The atmosphere inside the stadium shifted from tense to explosive in a matter of seconds. And then came the third contact. Before anyone could intervene or restore any sense of order, a third Diamondbacks player made violent contact with Ohtani in what witnesses described as the most aggressive and troubling moment of the entire sequence. At that point, there was no stopping what came next. Both benches cleared completely. Players from both teams flooded onto the field. The brawl that erupted was one of the most intense and chaotic scenes that Game 3 of any MLB series has produced in recent memory. Coaches, trainers, and umpires all rushed onto the field in an attempt to restore order, but for several long and terrifying minutes, the situation was completely out of control. Ohtani, despite absorbing 3 separate hits from 3 different Diamondbacks players, remained on his feet throughout the chaos. Teammates immediately surrounded him and formed a protective barrier around their superstar. Freddie Freeman was one of the first Dodgers players to reach Ohtani's side, and according to witnesses on the field, Freeman was visibly furious as he made his way through the chaos to stand beside his teammate. Freeman did not back down from anyone during those chaotic minutes, and his presence alongside Ohtani sent a clear message to everyone on the field that the Dodgers were completely united behind their biggest star. Mookie Betts also moved immediately toward Ohtani the moment the third contact occurred. Sources on the field described Betts as one of the most vocal Dodgers players during the brawl, making absolutely clear to anyone within earshot that what had just happened to Ohtani was unacceptable and would not go unanswered. Betts later told reporters that his only thought in those moments was making sure Ohtani was okay and making sure that every single person on that field understood that the Dodgers would always protect their teammates no matter what. Manager Dave Roberts rushed onto the field as both benches cleared and immediately positioned himself near Ohtani to assess the situation. Roberts later described those minutes as some of the most difficult and emotionally charged moments he has experienced in his entire career as a manager. He said that watching his most important player absorb that kind of treatment from multiple opposing players in rapid succession was something that genuinely shook him. He said his first instinct was not strategy or baseball. His first instinct was to make sure Shohei was okay. When order was finally restored and both teams were separated, the medical staff immediately surrounded Ohtani for a full evaluation on the field. The crowd inside the stadium, which had been roaring with noise and emotion throughout the brawl, fell into an anxious and worried silence as trainers examined the Japanese superstar. Every fan in that building and every person watching at home held their breath waiting to see how Ohtani would respond. When he finally signaled to the crowd that he was okay, the stadium erupted with relief and thunderous applause that seemed to shake the entire building. But the physical evaluation was only the beginning of what followed. The umpires immediately convened for a lengthy discussion about the events that had just unfolded. Multiple ejections were issued as a direct result of what had happened during the brawl. The three Diamondbacks players who had made contact with Ohtani were at the center of those discussions, and the decisions made by the umpiring crew in those moments set the stage for everything that was about to come from Major League Baseball. Within hours of the final out of Game 3, Major League Baseball launched a full and comprehensive investigation into the brawl and specifically into the 3 instances of violent contact made against Shohei Ohtani. League officials reviewed footage from multiple camera angles and gathered statements from players, coaches, and umpires from both teams. The investigation moved with remarkable speed, reflecting the seriousness with which the league viewed what had happened on that field. The findings of the investigation led to a series of disciplinary announcements from MLB that immediately became the most discussed topic in the entire baseball world. All 3 Diamondbacks players who had made violent contact with Ohtani received significant suspensions. The length and severity of those suspensions reflected the league's determination to send a clear and unmistakable message that this kind of behavior would not be tolerated under any circumstances. Additional fines were also issued, and the league made clear in its official statement that the safety and protection of all players, and particularly those who face repeated targeting, is an absolute priority. The announcement sent immediate shockwaves through the baseball community. Former players, current coaches, and analysts from every major sports network weighed in on the suspensions and the events that had led to them. The overwhelming response was that the punishments were not only justified but necessary. Many pointed out that what had happened to Ohtani during Game 3 represented a level of aggression that went far beyond competitive baseball and entered territory that demanded a serious and historic response from the league. Inside the Dodgers clubhouse following the game, the mood was a powerful mixture of anger, relief, and fierce determination. Players who spoke to reporters made clear that the events of Game 3 had not broken their spirit or their focus. If anything, what had happened had brought the team closer together and made their collective resolve even stronger. Freeman told reporters that the brawl had shown the entire baseball world exactly what the Dodgers are made of. He said that when things got difficult and chaotic, every single player on the roster showed up for each other without hesitation. He said that is the kind of team they are and the kind of team they will always be. Roberts closed his post-game press conference with words that resonated deeply with everyone who heard them. He said that Shohei Ohtani had once again shown the entire world not just what kind of player he is, but what kind of man he is. He said that absorbing what he absorbed during Game 3 and still standing tall at the end of it all was a testament to everything that makes Ohtani one of the greatest and most respected figures in the sport today. As the dust settled on one of the most dramatic and emotional nights in recent MLB history, one thing was crystal clear to everyone who had witnessed it. The Dodgers were not shaken. Ohtani was not broken. And the baseball world had just watched something it would never forget. Thank you for watching. Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Subscribe to our channel for more exciting and up-to-date sports news.